So is UnitedHealth Group stock the fraud case against it? Is it going to be dismissed? We're going to go into that. We're going to look at history, and we're also going to dig deep into this because this is really the reason the stock is actually down, along with the revisions and the outlook. What we can look at in history is Meta was under far more scrutiny and investigations, and they are currently still under investigation. Something that could actually disrupt their entire moat, okay? So pretty much what I've been saying is anyone basically saying that UnitedHealth Group is going to go bankrupt or going to collapse or the next Enron, these are the things I saw, the same thing going on with Meta. And now Meta still has this going on, but obviously they've ran up since these lows in 2022, up 775%. And it's not the only stock. You can see here, this is UnitedHealth Group. The middle one is Meta. This was the low, and this is where we're at. And this other one here, this is Wells Fargo. Now, Wells Fargo was very bad, okay? The things they did was the highest level, their employees, of financial fraud that you could do. Now, what's going on with Meta still is very big, but a lot of people think that it's going to be eventually dismissed. They all had a massive drawdown. Everyone panicked. We're down 50-60% in UnitedHealth Group. Meta had a lot more issues, though. That's the thing. And they're still, having these issues, yet the stock, because their outlook is good, management has been spending on AI, but that's what happens with the market, how fast things can turn around. Wells Fargo, they're up 320%, okay? And they paid a lot of fines. $3.7 billion was the one in 2023 and $3 billion in 2020. So the thing that, I really don't understand why the market, everyone thinks this is going to, become some Enron thing. What it really is the way they're investigating it. There's both types of, investigations going on. There's the criminal, type investigation, and then there's more of the civil investigation as well. So, but as far as like Meta, if we're looking at that type of, investigation, I think it's a lot worse, and the stock's still doing fine. It's hitting all new highs. So, I think the sentiment just has to change here. Okay. And I honestly think because this really is a different situation, they are targeting a lot of fraud that is going on overall in the industry. It's not just UnitedHealth Group. And this has gone on in the past. And it was dismissed, by the way. It was dismissed in 2017, in 2021. The ongoing, pretty much they've been building this case and it was dismissed literally the last time they tried this. A lot of people think because of AI and things that have advanced, it could still lead to, some people being prosecuted. Are there bad people within the industry? There probably are, but it's not like the CEO, the CFO are involved. Now, Wells Fargo, their CEO was sitting in front, and we'll show you some videos in a second, and you'll get to see how much bigger a situation those other two were. And guess what? They're all making, both of them brand new highs. Okay. I'm not saying that UnitedHealth Group is going to have a quick turnaround and really quickly, but I honestly do think that this case will be dismissed sooner than later. It's not going to draw out, too long. I want to just show you how much of a situation that both of these other stocks were in and where they're at now. And you just got to really tune out the market whenever you're in these situations and you're trying to establish a position. That's what I've been doing. That's what I did in Meta, and everything worked out. But this right here is really what's been going on with the fraud. Okay. A lot of the fraud is individual people, and they're not even in the US. 200-300 people, it's billions and billions, like 14 plus billion in fraud, and they're starting to find them, and it's really going to help the industry overall.
The government revealed new details today about a massive Medicare fraud operation that we first told you about last year.
And authorities say new steps are being taken to prevent similar crimes from ever happening again. It's a story investigative reporter Tim McNicholas has been following since early 2024.
Turns out, when we went looking for the owner of GNI Ortho Supply in Gravesend early last year, federal investigators were looking into him too. The Justice Department revealed Monday that its investigation into GNI and other stores connected to allegedly bogus Medicare claims was called Operation Gold Rush.
From the pockets of American taxpayers.
This month, federal prosecutors across the country charged 19 people for that international scheme, including including Kevin Waldhans, a name we first shared with viewers in our February 2024 investigation.
We're fighting for the extradition of many of these individuals. We hope to see them face justice in an American courtroom.
Federal authorities also unveiled a series of other healthcare fraud cases across the country Monday and new efforts to crack down on the practices. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services plans to use AI and other tools to detect fraud faster.
What we're doing today is changing the paradigm. Not just going after bad guys and putting them behind bars, but actually getting ahead of these schemes so the money never leaves our bank account.
Prosecutors say Waldhans and others bought about 30 medical supply stores, then used them to submit $10 billion worth of bogus Medicare claims.
It's an overall industry that they're looking into, the way things are going. I really don't think that this is going to, for UnitedHealth Group, really change anything. It's not like the CFO or the CEO, they got a new CFO coming in. It's not like they're going to be indicted. But, in the past and ongoing with what's going on with Meta, it's still a lot bigger deal, and it just seems like the market really doesn't care. So I think eventually the market doesn't, they will re-rate the stock, UnitedHealth Group, and I think that the same thing that's pretty much happened with the other two. Eventually when management gives a better outlook and they cut costs and they can say, hey, we're going to make a lot more money going into 2026, 2027, the market is forward-looking. So this is the health sector compared to the S&P 500. It is at a 30-year low recently. And you're talking about a stock right here, UnitedHealth Group, that's at these 2020 lows, but they make $166 billion more in revenue. And with this ratio, and you can start to see that there's a little green coming here, but right now, everyone's in, their Palantirs and stocks that are trading up 7+100 PE, right? Times PE. But eventually, when rates start to come down, all that money that's, has all these gains, they're going to look for a safer place, a place potentially with dividends. And the same thing when the rates are coming down, the $7 trillion that's on the sideline, some of that will make its way into defensive stocks like this. So I think that it's multiple golden swans coming, and the fact that these big pharma costs are going to come down, it's going to be a phenomenal upside. That's what I really love about this.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is testifying today in the antitrust lawsuit filed by the Federal Trade Commission. In day one of the trial, it could result in the company's breakup. The FTC is accusing Zuckerberg's company of creating a monopoly and stifling competition by purchasing Instagram along with WhatsApp. Meta says the purchases were necessary to compete with other popular apps like TikTok and YouTube. Let's bring in CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Ken. Jolene, what's standing out to you so far from what we're hearing from Zuckerberg and what prosecutors are asking him?
Well, it's really about the origins of Facebook and later Meta and who owns the company, how it works when it comes to connecting people together and friending, as it were. You might remember all those friend requests from back in the day. So essentially, you've heard both the opening statements from the FTC, which is alleging that Facebook illegally is operating in a monopoly situation here by purchasing Instagram and WhatsApp. And the lawyer for the FTC said, quote, that basically Meta, formerly Facebook, decided the competition was too hard. It would be easier to buy out rivals rather than compete with them. So that's the position of the FTC.
Now, Instagram was one of the best purchases of all time for like $1 billion. And now they're bringing in, hundreds of billions, plus in ad revenue. In long term, this is just going to keep growing. So it's phenomenal that they did this, but it can be seen as a monopoly, right? The good thing about UnitedHealth Group, they are the biggest. 51+ million? I think I said 30 something last video. 51+ million, 52 million people in America have utilized UnitedHealth Group, and it's not the only insurer, obviously. And a lot of people go through the U.S. government, Medicaid, Medicare. And then the good thing is you still have a choice. With a social media company like this, there's not much choices. They get rid of, obviously, they get rid of TikTok and stuff. And that was another thing that they were facing. So the fact that Meta's here, the market, they were talking about this type of stuff for a long time. And, the stock was down 70+% during this. And eventually the market's like, you know what? It's about the revenue, right? It's about that. Eventually this, I think, will be dismissed potentially for Meta, but you got to look at that. And then the last thing we're going to look at is Wells Fargo. And this is, I feel like, a lot worse.
Of the strong cross-sell numbers, and I'd like to submit them for the record.
Objections.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when investors saw good cross-sell numbers, they did while this scam was going on. That was very good for you personally, wasn't it, Mr. Stumpf? Do you know how much money, how much value your stock holdings in Wells Fargo gained while this scam was underway?
Well, first of all, it was not a scam, and cross-sell is a way of deepening relationships. When customers
We've been through this, Mr. Stumpf. I asked a very simple question. Do you know how much the value of your stock went up while this scam was going on?
It's all of my compensation is in our public.
Do you know how much it was?
It's all in the public filing.
Oh, you're right. It is all in the public records because I looked it up. While this scam was going on, you personally held an average of 6.75 million shares of Wells stock. The share price during this time period went up by about $30, which comes out to more than $200 million in gains, all for you personally. And thanks in part to those cross-sell numbers that you talked about on every one of those calls. Here's what really gets me about this, Mr. Stumpf. If one of your tellers took a handful of $20 bills out of the cash drawer, they'd probably be looking at criminal charges for theft. They could end up in prison. But you squeezed your employees to the breaking point so they would cheat customers and you could drive up the value of your stock and put hundreds of millions of dollars in your own pocket. And
so, this is what they were going through. I don't really think what UnitedHealth Group is going through is as bad as what Meta is still going through and what Wells Fargo went through. That's legit fraud. That was one of the risks that the company, ended up having. And look at what happened with the stock. I mean, it recovers long term. But I think this is a big overreaction. I don't think it's going to last too long. Look at how violent this drop has been. Very, very violent. And then you also see that by the actual selling, the volume. Okay. The Meta volume was very high, but it actually recovered pretty fast. You can see. So we're already starting to see somewhat, I think, recovery a little bit. This is the monthly chart, so you're not going to see that. But coming into the weeks, I think, a lot of people think we might have found a bottom. Potentially, I don't know. But you do know that we have AI, and AI is going to be cutting the costs a lot. A lot of the, I think, people were a lot of the problem sometimes. A lot of lazy people, okay? A lot of the people were a part of this problem for denying as well. I think AI is going to do a lot better. And then you have the biggest golden swan is if pharmaceutical companies are going to make it the deal and the price is lower, they've got like 54 days now. So that clock is ticking. We're going to cover it on this channel. We're going to cover UnitedHealth Group, continue to cover it. But let me know, guys, do you think we found a bottom yet? And do you like these videos? By the way, I'm starting to do these more. This is another video. And yeah, this is a lot of fun, covering UnitedHealth Group. I'm buying more on this previous drop. The other day, 237, I'm buying a bunch more leaps.